So if we're actually going to get into the Constitution, there's a couple things we need to address up front. I don't know how you are, but just a few years ago I hadn't even read the Constitution. And when people throw out these words of article and section and clause, I'd say, hey, this must be some legal jargon. I don't know what they're talking about, but it's pretty simple. The Constitution is divided into 7 different articles. Article 1 has to do with the legislative branch. Article 2, the executive. Article 3 is the judicial branch. And Article 4 is kind of a catch-all, but it mostly has to do with states. Article 5 is the amendment process. Article 6 is the supremacy clause. And Article 7 are the original ratification rules. Most of those articles have sections, and most of the sections have clauses. Okay, so within Article 1 are a bunch of different sections. Within Section 2, there's a bunch of different clauses. I like to kind of break it down as article, section, clause. The same thing as kind of the Bible. Book, chapter, verse. Within a book, there's several chapters, and in a chapter, there's several verses. Book, chapter, verse, article, section, clause. So when you have that hopefully will help you. One thing to be aware of is that when you look at any copy of the Constitution, it's laid out just like the original as far as numbering and organization goes. The articles are organized by Roman numeral. The sections are organized by normal numbering. But the word clause is not found in the Constitution, and the clauses aren't numbered. So how do you know which clause is which? Well, you have to number the clauses yourself based on page breaks. Let's look at Article 4 of the Constitution as an example. Article 4 is identified with a Roman numeral. The first part of Article 4 is Section 1, identified by a regular number. And Section 1 is followed by the actual meat of the Constitution. This first statement is clause number 1 of Section 1 of Article 4. So you write in there, clause 1. Section 1 only has one clause in it. It's followed by Section 2. The first statement after Section 2 is clause 1 of Section 2 of Article 4. Then there's a page break and a second statement appears. This is clause 2 of Section 2 of Article 4. After clause 2, there's another page break and clause 3 appears. Okay, so this is Article 4, Section 2, clause 3. So when references are made when speaking about the Constitution to an article, a section, and a clause, it's simply a system of organization to identify the specific wording of the Constitution itself. So as an example of how this would apply to a specific duty the people gave to the federal government, Article 1 is about the powers given to the legislative branch. About half of the quantity of the Constitution is in Article 1. Under Article 1 there's a section, Section 8, which are the enumerated powers, the powers that are given, listed for government, for Congress. And under Section 8, for example, there's a clause number 11 that says Congress shall have power to declare war. It gives that specific power to Congress. So instead of, somewhere in here I know it talks about, I can't find it, it talks about Congress declaring war or something like that. Well, no, just go to Article 1, Section 8, Clause 11, and you're able to hit that and understand that and reference it that way. So pull out your Constitution. After all, if we're going to be in the Constitution, pull it out, take notes, push pause. You see my Constitution is full of notes. That's the exciting part. Let's get a foundational document, some great notes and ideas that help us understand it better. That's the whole intent of this series. That's why I'm doing this. So join me in studying this great document that William Gladstone called the most wonderful work ever struck off at a given time by the brain and purpose of man. James Madison, who's widely known as the father of the Constitution, had this to say about the Constitutional Convention. There never was an assembly of men charged with the great and arduous trust who were more pure in their motives or more exclusively or anxiously devoted to the object committed to them, of devising and proposing a constitutional system which should best secure the permanent liberty and happiness of their country. Truly our founding fathers were inspired and great men.